Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Would you love to know how to make real money from side hustling? Well, my guest expert today, Lisa Linfield, had a big hairy ass goal to teach 1 million women about money in the next 7 years, how to make it, how to invest it, and how to protect it. Having set the goal, the challenge was now to achieve it, and that led her to the journey that's taken her to do things she never dreamt she would do in 19 years of working in corporate-based financial services. Having worked in both South Africa and the UK for companies such as Halifax Bank of Scotland, Citigroup, Hollard, she left in July 2017 to start her own wealth management business. But she soon realized that working one-on-one wouldn't enable her to reach 1 million women. So she started the Working Women's Wealth just over a year ago. Her podcasts, newsletters, online videos, and podcasts have become the primary way she's working to reach her goal, with her podcasting having reached over 11,000 downloads in 61 countries. Lisa, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Lorna.
I feel like side hustle is a bit of a buzzword at the moment.
I think it is. And one of the things that I've learned, regardless of whether it is in corporates or in any part of life, is there's a language for everything. So whenever you join a new company, you've got to learn their acronyms and their language. If you join a new industry or take on a new profession, you learn their acronyms. And I guess the if you say side hustle, most people will know what you're talking about.
So tell me this. I've done a couple attempts of side hustle, but I've never found them to be very fruitful.
I think it depends on the journey that you're on and what your intention is, first of all. And secondly, the question of how badly do you want it? And let me take those two separately. So the first thing in terms of the journey that you're on is that I think that we all underestimate the learning that we have through trying and failing. We believe that we're going to launch a side hustle or a little business on the side, and it's suddenly going to make us $1 million overnight. And that is never going to happen. Not even people who are, in inverted commas, overnight successes are able to gain that kind of success. I was chatting in a podcast to a fantastic woman, Lisa Raleigh, who was a trainer on The Biggest Loser, the TV show, and she was one of the very first fitness trainers. And she was saying, everyone said I was an overnight success because it was a very short period of time from when they phoned her to when they started recording. And they perceived that as almost like the instant jackpot. And she said, what they don't realize is that I've been working for years and years and years as a personal trainer and building a very big and very successful training business. And I think that's like everything, is that people expect that you can launch anything or do anything and become an overnight success. So when it comes to what is the goal of it, I always say there's a number of skill sets that you need to learn on the way to building a successful side hustle, or even taking that side hustle to a successful business. And when I start teaching people the side hustle, I actually start with things that are quite passive. For example, doing that they need to consistently do a online questionnaire or website testing or something like that, where you're earning income, but you're not effectively selling a product or anything, because you're developing a hugely important skill set, which is turn off that TV at night and spend an hour earning revenue or working on your business. So it's teaching you a very important discipline. And as I have learned with my own kind of business, is that Working Women's Wealth is my side hustle. My main business is that I'm CEO of a wealth management company. But I am desperate to teach people about money. And so I started Working Women's Wealth to teach that. But the problem is it costs a lot of money. And so at the moment, my intention with it as a side hustle and with the training business that I'm building and the speaking business that I'm building is that it breaks even, But there is a number of really important lessons that I'm learning along the way. I'm learning what Facebook ads work and what don't. I'm learning how to sell things, which I've never really needed to do. In my wealth management business, I work by reputation and referral. I don't work by online ads. So the first real answer to your question is it depends what you define as success. And if the learning journey is part of your success definition, I think you would embrace it a lot more. And then it comes to that second question, which is how badly do you want it? Because if you want it badly enough, you will continue to try until you find a solution to that works, that customers want to buy, etc. And that really, how badly do you want it, comes back to that first step of prioritizing time in your day and switching the television off. And until you've built that discipline of every single day putting in a little bit of time onto your side hustle and completely investing your time and energy into it, most people don't want it badly enough to switch their television off for a long enough time, or to set that alarm clock 1 hour earlier, or to spend 3 Saturdays a month or 2 Saturdays a month working on their side hustle. And so it does die, because we all do have full lives, full jobs, and full families. So side hustles are extremely difficult, especially if you're wanting something of minimal energy that is get rich quick. If you're wanting something that is not minimal energy, or that is minimal energy, but you're limited by your time, there are fantastic ways that you can earn money, extra money, whilst you sit on the couch at night, that don't require you to sit and learn how to do Facebook marketing and don't require you to sell a product. And there are a number of them that I talk about on my website. There are side hustles, they're extra streams of revenue outside of your main job, but they will not build you something that you can earn money whilst you're asleep, because you trade your time for money, which is, I guess, what you also do in a main job.
Yeah, you were talking away there and I had so many questions. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I remember listening to, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do, Jim Rohn talking about, I remember people saying to him he was an overnight success. And like your story, he said, I was 20 years being an overnight success. Another example of that is Marie Foley. Anyone in the entrepreneur industry will know that she worked as a waitress while she built her empire. And I totally agree with you, Lisa, that it's just making that time every day and know that you're building it one step at a time. Absolutely. And I even find I started my both my wealth management business and my side hustle full-time about 1.5 years ago. But I was working on it for the 3 years before, including going back to university to get the right degree sets, etc., to all be to go on my own. And I don't see myself as only having 4 years of experience in my business. I've been in big corporations, in financial services. I have set up, so, if you look at side hustle, Working Women's Wealth is 18 months old. What have I theoretically got to teach others? Well, in the corporates that I worked in 2 major streams of, in terms of how do you build a strategy around a viable business and how do you both either turn around or start up a business. I built 2 brand new businesses for the company I was working for in the 18 months before I left. So I did it. I launched an award-winning app that won a global data award in the company I was in my 2 jobs before. Everything you do is preparing you for the journey that you're on. So when people say, oh, it didn't work and give up, my challenge to them is, how badly did you want it? Because I've come to realize that there are many experiences that I looked at along my journey and thought, what was going on here? That,
10, 15 years later, or even 5 years later, I look at now and I think, well, thank goodness I did that particular project or had that particular experience, because right now for what I'm doing, it's crucial in my understanding of how to either teach or deliver or develop different products that meet my customers' needs. So if you are continuously learning and continuously growing, you will eventually get a formula that wins, but you have to be in an attitude of learning and not in an attitude that I know exactly what the market wants and this is what I'm going to put my life savings in it and I'm going to launch it and it's going to be a success. It won't be, because none of us, there are very few people who are instant successes. In fact, The Millionaire Next Door, which is a book that I love, they say you have a 1 in 4,000 chance of getting rich quick, but you have a 3 in 100 chance of doing it the good old-fashioned way with hard work. And those, I mean, that means you're 175 times more likely to become wealthy with long, hard slog than you are on get rich quick. So I guess that's kind of the big challenge, is this is a journey that you're on. And if you want to build something, you know, start today, because by the time it's successful, you know, the earlier you start, the earlier it'll become successful.
Yeah, I agree, Lisa. And, you know, as you're talking there, if we don't have a certain result in our life, you know, there's where we are, there's the gap and where we want to be. And as long as you're growing, it comes. It absolutely comes. And I love that you're sharing that if you want to do a real side hustle, just start whatever that is that you really want to do, whatever that business is to you, and just get going, because you will learn and grow and find the teachers as you go. Would you agree?
When I teach my course, the 30-day side hustle, I try and reframe people's mindsets, because people are always, because people want get rich quick. They think that it'll take them 30 days to get rich. And I always say to them, you've got to think of it much more like being at a live business school, not a state university, but at a real live business school. And each step of the way that you take is just part of an assignment. So for these 30 days, pick anything you want to sell or anything that you want to do, sell a training course. So it doesn't have to be a physical product. It can be a book, a training course, anything. And go with the idea. It could be something that you have no intention of doing from the long term. Because if you were in business school and the professor said to you, start something, and that project is what you're going to be graded on, you would do it. And you wouldn't worry so much as, is this going to be your lifetime, you know, millions that you're going to make? And it's exactly the same that I encourage people on the 30-day side hustle, which is to say, listen, just pick any idea, because the lessons you're going to learn in the 30 days are invaluable. And part of it, you know, I always say to people, it's a bit like Moses and the parting of the sea. You have to step into the sea before it parts. You can't just sit and watch it and hope that it's all going to happen. Part of this whole journey is the more you get involved in building something and the more you discuss it with other people, the more the things fall into place. And you know, my last cohort of people who went through the side hustle, it's been fantastic, because very few of them are actually now working on what they worked on through the side hustle. But as part of the community of discussion, as bouncing ideas of other people, validating the customers, all of that stuff, they've come to learn so much that they have an even better idea than they had the first time around. And that's part of the process. You know, when I decided that my side hustle was that I'm going to do online training courses, I built 3 online training courses in terms of writing the entire course out. And none of them worked. And like I'd get 3/4 of the way through and I think, oh, this isn't going to work. And then I'd try another one and I'd write the whole course out. And then I think, this isn't going to work. And I did 3 before the side hustle kind of clicked. And by the time the side hustle clicked, I wrote the entire course in one day. And people will say, but you can't do that. And then it's again comes back to the thing which says I wasn't a one day instant success. I'd been working on it for a year before I had that almost epiphany moment. But that's part of the process. You've got to step into it. You've got to start experimenting. And as you start experimenting, you'll start talking to more people who will open you up to more ideas that you had never known existed.
Yeah, as you were talking there, Lisa, I was thinking about, my coaching, my love coaching business, and how when I started that I knew my journey, how I changed my life. I hit a rock bottom, all this, and I figured out the steps to change. And I designed the course, did the coach course, all that stuff, designed my online courses. And when I started to work with my clients, it really helped me hone and make it better and better and stronger. And it's like what you say, you build on what you know, and you just refine. But the most important thing you do is get started.
And also have an attitude to learning. So when I built my course, the first bunch of people that came through, I did almost a build with program, because I said to them, listen, I would hugely value your input. I would, in return, I'll give the course to you for a discounted rate. And if you give me feedback, you can get it for free. But my massive thing was this huge prize and value of learning. What do you like? What don't you like? And the wonderful thing about a group of people is that they will all have different strengths and different ways they think and see the world. And so any one episode, I would get such different feedback. Sometimes there was common feedback, but I'd get such different feedback. And I did a podcast episode on what business schools and corporates do, how they get it wrong. And the thing about them getting it wrong is that they teach you that you've got to write a full business case. And once you've written a full business case, then you must spec out your product. You must write a 100-page spec for your product, and then you must get every committee in the world to approve it, and only then do you start building. And that is a fundamentally flawed process that we're hugely indoctrinated in through school and through university and then through the corporate life, that there is a massive intellectual process that goes through it. And when I had spent 19 years in corporate, so that was kind of my going in thought. And I embraced a completely different method in my side hustle, which was to journey with my customers and produce my content around their input and their journey. And there were sufficient of them that you could see when there were consensus themes, and you could see where there was things that I needed to change. And so the end result of what I produced was hugely different to what I started off with, but so much better. So it comes back to this whole thing of embracing the learning and embracing understanding, and then doing, and then being clear that you will fail. I mean, I've got a new Facebook campaign, advertising campaign that I'm doing at the moment. And in corporates, I headed up marketing. I was, but I always had agencies doing these things. When it's your side hustle, you're writing your own copy, you're producing your own videos, you're doing your own stuff. And I love and enjoy that stuff. It is, if you had have said to me 3 years ago, in your future, would you see making videos and podcasts and all this kind of stuff? I would have said, no, I'm a CEO. I lead businesses. I make changes. I'm a generalist. I do those things. Whereas now, there are all these things that I'm learning and embracing. And I've got this Facebook campaign at the moment that is absolutely tanking. And when I was in corporate, I'd probably have taken it quite personally and seen myself as a failure. And now I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious me, this is seriously not working. How can I change it? Who can I learn from? And then I'll go onto YouTube and learn about video advertising on Facebook and teach myself. And, it's only when you step back and you write something like a training course on the 30-day side hustle that you turn around and you say, wow, you have learned so much. And that's why. So if you look at the financials, I've invested a huge amount of money in my podcast and in my blog site and in the work that I've done on my teaching programs. Have I in 18 months recovered that? Absolutely no way. So if you were sitting as a group of girls, like your opening comment was, knowing many people whose side hustles haven't worked, people would say, my side hustle hasn't worked. And then I would look at them and say, but my time horizon isn't 18 months. I'm wanting this for the second half of my life. So I've got about a 10-year time horizon where I'm wanting it to step up and be a much bigger revenue stream, so that, when I want to kind of slow down on much more demanding stuff, I can still do my teaching, which is my passion.
Lisa, this has been amazing, okay? From everything we've spoke about, really thinking about your side hustle, looking at your long-term view, and learning, what's the kind of one thing you want to leave the listeners with who's listening to you? They're thinking about their life, where they're at right now. They want to start that business or start that side hustle and get going. What would you say to her?
I think every single day, a number of times a day, you must ask yourself, how badly do you want it? And until you can really honestly answer yourself that, do you want it badly enough to switch off the television? Do you want it badly enough to wake up early? Do you want that financial freedom? And by financial freedom, for me, I define it as that ability to know that you'll be able to generate revenue without relying on someone else. Do you want it badly enough? And when it gets to really tough things, I had a fantastic guest that I interviewed once, and she had an expression that I use a lot for myself, which is, I can do hard things. And in that whole concept of I can do hard things, when you look back at your life and you think of some of the things that you have got yourself through already, you can get yourself through this. You can get yourself through, I'm way over my 40 mark, and have taught myself technology that people my age would go, oh no, don't, let's not do that one. You can do hard things. So if you really want it badly enough, and then you've got to really dig deep and say, I can do hard things. I was 40 when I went back to university. I had twin 3-year-olds and a 7-year-old. I was a full-time senior executive in a business, and I got an honors degree at the exact same time. And I remember one of the youngsters saying to me, well, how do you do all of this? And I looked at her and I said, well, what time do you wake up? And she said, between 9 and 10. And I said, that's a difference. I wake up between 4:30 and 5. And that is it. If I can do that, I can run my wealth management business and Working Women's Wealth at the same time. And whenever I do kind of start to falter and get back into old ways and watch too much TV, I say to myself, Lise, how badly do you want it? And then that answer is, I want the freedom so that not only myself, but myself and my husband can choose the work we want to do when we get to our 50s and 60s.
Love it, Lisa. Absolutely love it. How badly do you want it? Lisa, how do we find out more about you?
So you can go to workingwomenswealth.com, and there you'll be able to find not only my podcasts and my blog posts, but there's also a post that's pinned on 9 different ways to earn $1,000 sitting on the couch. And it's on that, starting to develop those habits by trading your time for money, and kind of how do you start to build the knowledge that it takes to do a side hustle. And it's a great free resource that's there. And the podcasts are there, and you can also learn a bit about me there. And it would be lovely if people wanted to interact with me on Facebook or Instagram, and ask me any questions. Working Women's Wealth on Facebook, and Lisa Linfield SA, because I'm from South Africa, on Instagram if you want to chat.
Thank you, Lisa. This has been amazing. And the links will be on the show notes. So thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye.
Hey, everyone. Remember to join us in the Private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom life. Join at www.facebook.com/groups The Financial Freedom Podcast. You will see the links to this on the website. It's in the show notes, or type it into the Facebook group. All you have to type in is Financial Freedom Podcast and you will see us there. Look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.